Ladies and gentlemen, smash that subscribe button right now if you want the most unfiltered truth about what is really happening in your land of South Africa. We are racing to 100k subscribers before 2026, so I need your help to become the fastest growing SA YouTuber speaking facts that the mainstream media will never tell you. Listen up, South Africa. What the is about to tell you is going to make some people very uncomfortable. But somebody needs to say it. And clearly, I'm the only one with a spine to speak the truth that's staring us all in the face. We are witnessing the systematic exodus of an entire racial group from South Africa. And it is not happening by accident. It is the direct result of 30 years of racially discriminatory policies by the ANC government, combined with the violent rhetoric of the organizations like the EFF, who literally sing songs about killing people based on the color of their skin. And before you start typing your angry comments and claiming, hey, Summer's a conspiracy theorist, let me be crystal clear. I'm not here to defend apartheid or pretend the past was perfect. But I'm also not going to pretend that two wrongs make a right or that racism becomes acceptable when it's directed at minorities. So call me what you want, as long as you know what I'm saying is the truth. Since 1995, over 1 million white South Africans have emigrated. 1 million. That is not brain drain, that is demographic collapse. That's an entire population voting with their feet and saying we don't feel safe or welcome in the country of our birth, despite the fact that they say it's equal. But here's what really makes my blood boil. Instead of asking why this is happening, our government and media act like it's just a coincidence. Like somehow, magically, hundreds of thousands of people just decided they preferred foreign weather. The weather over there is quite nicer. Summer, autumn, and winter, spring don't really go well. The truth is these people are leaving because they've been systematically excluded from economic participation through black economic empowerment laws that judge people by melanin content rather than merit. Tell me if I'm telling lies, I'll wait. Nonetheless, they are leaving because their children cannot get into universities despite having better grades because the government has decided that skin color matters much more than academic achievement. What have you been doing the entire time? Sleeping under a rock or something? They are leaving because they watch politicians sing Kill the Boer at massive stadiums with thousands of people, while COP statistics show farm murders occurring at rates that would make international headlines if they happen to any other group anywhere else in the world. Let's talk about it. No, let's talk about it. Let's talk about what the ANC has actually created. They have built a system of legal discrimination that would make the architects of apartheid proud. The only difference, they have flipped the coin. They have flipped the racial targets. Employment Equity Act. Oh, that's legal discrimination with a fancy name. It literally allows employers to reject better qualified candidates based purely on race. Imagine if any Western country passed a law saying you can discriminate against black people in hiring because we need a certain amount of white people. There would be international sanctions within 24 hours. But when it's discrimination against whites, silence, crickets. Broad-based black economic empowerment is not empowerment to black people. It is systematic exclusion of minorities from the economy so that the billionaires with big bellies can go and stash their cash checks over there. The government has created a system where your race determines your economic opportunities more than your skills, more than your education, more than your work ethic. And then they act shocked when skilled professionals actually dip, say peace out, and immigrate to countries that judge them by their abilities and what they bring to the table rather than their ancestry. But the ANC's legal discrimination is just half the story. Julius Malema and the EFF have normalized hate speech that would be criminal in any civilized country. Kill the Boer, kill the farmer. Is that cultural expression or is that incitement to violence against a specific racial group? Tell me in the comment section what you think. When you have political leaders singing songs about killing white people based on their race at public rallies, while those same people are being murdered at rates that defy statistical explanation, you are not looking at coincidence, you are looking at nothing but cause and effect. The EFF has created an environment where attacking white South Africans and other South Africans rather of racial minority is not just acceptable, it is politically celebrated. They have made racism fashionable again. It's cool to be racist again, just with different targets this time. And what does our media do? They defend it as a struggle song or historical context. Imagine defending Nazi songs about killing Jews by calling them historical context. Yeah, yeah. Some of you gotta chill up your spine because that's how impactful it is. Here's what should shame every single South African. South Africans of racial minorities are now successfully claiming refugee status in Western countries. Refugee status. Let that sink in. Australia, Canada, and the United States, these countries are recognizing that South Africans of racial minorities face persecution in their own homeland where they were born. International courts are looking at our government's policies and the EFF's rhetoric and concluding that yes, there is systematic persecution happening here. When the international community starts treating citizens of your country as refugees fleeing persecution, maybe, just maybe, you should start asking some very hard questions about exactly what kind of society that you have not only created but chose to live in. But instead of self-reflection, our government gets angry at other countries for accepting these refugees. Instead of asking why our citizens are fleeing, they ask, why are you letting them in? Every engineer, doctor, scientist, and skilled professional who leaves takes their knowledge, experience, and tax contributions with them. But more importantly, they take their children's future contributions too. We are not just losing current taxpayers, we are losing generations of future South Africans who would have built businesses, created jobs, and contributed to our society as a whole. Instead, they are building Australia now, they are building Canada now, and the UK, while South Africa slides further into dysfunction. And then we're gonna cry and say, ugh, there's so much brain drain. And then who fills the gap? Absolutely nobody. You cannot fill decades of experience with political disappointments. You cannot substitute professionals with racial quotas. The result is a healthcare system in collapse. The result is infrastructure that's crumbling. The result is universities producing graduates who can't compete internationally. The result is an economy that's stagnating while the rest of Africa grows as a whole. Here is the truth they do not want you to hear, but they will tell you. Of racial preferences, none of racial preferences have created equality. They have created new forms of inequality while driving away the skills the country desperately needs. Black unemployment is higher today than it was in 1994. Black poverty is more entrenched than ever. The ANC's race-based policies haven't helped the people they claim to represent. They have just created new elites while the masses remain trapped in poverty. If you haven't subscribed, do it now. Meanwhile, the skills and capital that could have lifted everyone up have fled to countries that actually practice non-racialism. You want to know why load shedding exists? Because we drove away the engineers who could have prevented it. You want to know why our hospitals are collapsing? Because we drove away the doctors and administrators who could have saved them. The uncomfortable truth is that the ANC, the EFF, the MK have created exactly the kind of racial society they claimed to be fighting against. They have just reversed the racial hierarchy instead of eliminating it like they promised they would in the 90s. They have made race and the primary determinant of opportunity, success, and safety. They have created a system where your ancestry matters more than your actions, where your skin color determines your worth, where political loyalty trumps professional competence. And then they act surprised when people who've been systematically marginalized decide they'd rather go live somewhere else where they're not judged for the color of their skin. But here's what should really terrify every single South African watching this right now. The world is watching. International investors see the demographic collapse. They see the racial rhetoric. They see the systematic exclusion of minorities, and they are drawing conclusions about exactly what kind of country we are becoming. When skilled minorities flee your country seeking refugee status elsewhere, you don't just lose those people. You lose international credibility as a whole. You become the kind of place people flee from, not flee to. You become the opposite of the Rainbow Nation. This demographic exodus is a wake-up call we cannot afford to ignore. Summer followers, when hundreds of thousands of citizens choose exile over staying home, when international courts recognize them as refugees, when entire communities disappear, that is not normal. That is nothing but political disagreement. That is systematic persecution having its intended effect. So the question is, what kind of country do we want to be? Do we want to be the kind of place where race determines your opportunity and what you can eat? where political rhetoric incites violence against racial minorities, where skilled citizens feel safer in exile than actually at home? Or do we want to build a society where everyone, regardless of race, can contribute, succeed, and feel safe? Because right now, we are becoming the former. And the exodus of white South Africans, the killing of South African racial minorities, is just the beginning of the price we will all pay for choosing racial division over national unity. If this video opened your eyes to what's really going on in South Africa in any way, subscribe right now and help us hit 100K subs before 2026. Share this video because the truth needs to spread faster than the lies. We are building the fastest growing truth-telling channel in South Africa, but we need you. I need you to make it happen. Can't do this without you. Hit that notification bell and let's change the country one video at a time. That's from the Sambit, and like always, I'll see you next time.